Chelsea are already planning something big and Tottenham might not be able to stop it. Imagine waking up one morning and finding out that your two best players have left the club because the team got relegated. Now imagine the club that signed those players is your biggest rival. That is exactly the kind of story that is slowly building up right now in English football. Chelsea are watching Tottenham Hotspur very closely this season, and what they are planning could change things for both clubs for many years to come. This is not just a transfer rumor. This is a real situation that Chelsea fans need to understand because it shows how smart the club is thinking right now. Let us walk through everything together, step by step, so that by the end of this piece, you will know exactly what is going on, why it matters, and what it could mean for Chelsea going forward. Where does Tottenham stand right now? Before we talk about Chelsea, we need to understand the situation at Tottenham first. Right now, Spurs are in serious trouble. They are sitting in the relegation zone of the Premier League, which means they are one of the bottom teams in the league table. If things do not change before the end of the season, they will be playing their football in the Championship next year. That is the second tier of English football, and for a club the size of Tottenham, that would be a massive disaster. Now, why does this matter to Chelsea fans? Because when a big club gets relegated, things tend to fall apart very quickly. Players who are earning big wages do not want to play in the Championship. It is a lower level, the money is less, and the exposure is nowhere near what the Premier League offers. So what happens? Players start looking for exits, agents start making calls, and clubs like Chelsea, who have the money and the ambition, start circling. Think about it this way. How often do you get the chance to sign top quality players from your rivals at a price that is much lower than normal? Not very often. That is why Chelsea are paying attention right now. What has been reported? According to journalist Simon Phillips, Chelsea have already identified two Tottenham players as targets. These are not random picks. These are players Chelsea have been watching for a while, players they tried to sign before, and players they believe can make their squad stronger. The two names are Bergvall and Mohammed Kudus. Now, if you do not know much about these two players yet, do not worry. We are going to break down exactly who they are, what they bring to the table, and why Chelsea want them so badly. Who is Bergvall and why should you care? Bergvall is a 20-year-old Swedish midfielder who joined Tottenham Hotspur not too long ago. He is one of those players who, when you watch him, you can just tell he is going to be something special. He is not the loudest player on the pitch. He does not score 30 goals a season, but what he does extremely well. Bergvall is the kind of midfielder who controls the tempo of a game. He knows when to play quickly and when to slow things down. He reads the game well, he passes the ball cleanly, and he works hard both in attack and in defense. At only 20 years old, he already looks like a player who has been in top football for years. Here is something interesting that many Chelsea fans might not know. Chelsea actually tried to sign Bergvall before he went to Tottenham. The club saw something in him early and wanted to bring him to Stamford Bridge, but Tottenham moved faster and got the deal done first. So there is already a history there. Chelsea wanted him, missed out, and now they are waiting for another chance. Ask yourself this question. If Chelsea tried to sign him once, what does that tell you about how the club rates him? It tells you they think he has the quality to play at the top level, and now that he has been at Tottenham and developed further, he is only going to be a better version of the player they originally wanted. The other thing worth thinking about is Chelsea's approach to building their squad. Over the past couple of years, the club has been putting a lot of effort into signing young players with high potential, players who can grow at the club and become long-term assets. Bergvall fits that model perfectly. He is young, he is talented, and he has many years of development ahead of him. If Chelsea bring him in, they are not just buying a player for today, they are buying a player who could be a key part of their team for the next decade. At 20, Bergvall could also benefit hugely from playing at a club that is competing in European competitions. Chelsea give him that platform. Tottenham, if they go down, cannot. Who is Mohammed Kudus and what does he bring? Now let us talk about Mohammed Kudus, and this is where things get really exciting from a Chelsea point of view. Kudus is a forward from Ghana who is known for being fast, skillful, and very difficult to stop when he is in full flow. He can play on either wing or through the middle, which makes him a flexible option for any manager. He scores goals, he creates chances for his teammates, and he has that electric quality that fans love to watch. Here is where it gets interesting for Chelsea. Just like with Bergvall, Chelsea came very close to signing Kudus before he ended up at Tottenham. Once again, the deal did not happen, and instead he moved to Spurs. And now, once again, Chelsea are watching the situation closely. Now, it is fair to say that Kudus has had some injury problems during his time at Tottenham. That has been a frustrating part of his story there. But when he has been fit and available, he has shown exactly what kind of player he is. He is dangerous, he is direct, and he is the kind of attacker who can change a game in an instant. Does Chelsea need that kind of player? Think about what Kudus offers and ask yourself where that quality fits in the current Chelsea setup. He brings pace, creativity, and an ability to score from wide areas or through the middle. For a team that wants to challenge at the top of the Premier League and in Europe, having a player like that can make a real difference. The injury history is something Chelsea would need to look at carefully. Any smart club does their research before spending money, but if Kudus is fit and motivated, and if Chelsea can get him for a lower price because Tottenham need the money after relegation, that is a very good deal for the Blues. Why does relegation change everything? This is the part that many people do not think about enough. Relegation does not just mean a club plays in a lower division for a season. It completely changes the financial situation of the club and the options available to their players. When a club is relegated, most players who are earning Premier League wages suddenly find themselves in a difficult position. Their contracts often have something called a relegation clause. This means that if the club goes down, the player has the right to leave or their wages get cut. Players who are earning large amounts of money do not want to suddenly take a huge pay cut just because their club got relegated. So what do? They leave. And when multiple players want to leave at the same time and the club needs money to survive in a lower division, you end up with what is called a fire sale. Good players become available at prices that are much lower than they would normally be in the transfer market. For Chelsea, this is a golden opportunity. They are a big club with resources. They are in the Premier League. They can offer players what Tottenham suddenly cannot, which is top-level football, Champions League football potentially, and the wages that go with it. Now think about what it means when it is your London rival who is going through this. It is not just about getting good players at a good price. It is about getting players that Tottenham had, that Tottenham wanted to keep, and bringing them to Chelsea. That is a double win. You strengthen your own team and you weaken theirs at the same time. The London derby element. Let us be honest about something. The Chelsea and Tottenham rivalry is one of the most intense in London football. These two clubs genuinely do not like each other. When Chelsea play Tottenham, or the other way around, there is an extra edge to everything. The fans are loud, the players are fired up, and the result matters more than just 3 points. So when Chelsea fans think about the club potentially signing 2 of Tottenham's best players, there is more going on than just the football logic. There is the satisfaction of knowing that players who were at White Hart Lane are now playing in blue at Stamford Bridge. For Chelsea supporters, this would feel brilliant, not just because the team is stronger, but because of where those players came from. It sends a message. It says that when you compare the two clubs, Chelsea comes out on top, that the ambition, the facilities, and the future at Chelsea is better than what Tottenham can offer. Is that a good way to run a football club? Well, motivation comes in many forms. And the rivalry element is very real in football. It matters to the fans, and sometimes it even matters to the players. What about other clubs? Now, do not think for a second that Chelsea are the only club watching this situation. When top players become available, every ambitious club in Europe takes notice. Players like Kudus and Bergvall will have plenty of options if Tottenham go down. There are other Premier League clubs who would happily sign either of these players. There are also big clubs from other European leagues who are always looking to bring in talented players from England. The competition for these signings, if they happen, could be intense. This is why Chelsea need to be ready and move quickly. The advantage Chelsea have is that they have shown interest before. There is already a relationship of sorts. The club knows what it wants, and it knows why it wants it. That puts them ahead of clubs who might suddenly become interested only when relegation actually happens. Chelsea also have the benefit of being in London. A lot of players, especially those who have been playing in the city for a while, prefer to stay in the same area. Moving clubs within London is a much easier transition than moving to a completely different city or country. That is a real advantage when trying to convince a player to come. What happens if Tottenham avoid relegation? Now, this is the question that makes everything more complicated. What if Spurs manage to pull off a great run of results and stay up? What does that mean for Chelsea and their plans? Well, first of all, it means that this particular window of opportunity closes. If Tottenham stay in the Premier League, they are not going to sell their best players cheaply. They will not need to. The whole reason these transfers make financial sense is because relegation creates urgency and necessity. Without that, the economics change completely. Bergvall and Kudus would be priced at their full market value. They would have no immediate reason to leave, and Chelsea would have to compete with other clubs to sign them in the normal transfer market, paying normal transfer market prices. So everything hinges on what Tottenham do in their remaining games. Every match they play from now until the end of the season has huge implications, not just for Spurs, but for the transfer plans of clubs like Chelsea who are waiting in the wings. As a Chelsea fan, you might find yourself in the unusual position of watching Tottenham matches very closely, hoping they do not get the results they need. That is a strange feeling, but it is the reality of how football and the transfer market work together. Chelsea's strategy and the bigger picture. Let us step back for a moment and think about what this situation tells us about Chelsea as a club right now. The fact that they are positioning themselves to take advantage of a rival's relegation shows a level of planning and awareness that is really positive. Chelsea have been on a journey over the past couple of seasons. They have brought in a lot of young players, they have invested heavily in the squad, and they are building towards being a consistent force in English football and in Europe. Every decision they make in the transfer market is part of that bigger plan. Signing Bergvall would give them a long-term option in midfield, a player who can grow into one of the best in the Premier League over the next few years. That fits the model perfectly. Signing Kudus would give them something different, a player who can have an immediate impact, someone who is already proven at this level and who can contribute goals and creativity right away. That adds a different dimension to the squad. Having both would be a real statement. It would show that Chelsea are serious about competing at the highest level and that they are smart enough to spot opportunities when they arise. But here's the key question for Chelsea fans. Do you think the club will actually follow through and get these deals done if the chance comes? Or do you think they will hesitate and miss out again, just like they did when they missed Bergvall the first time? That is the challenge. Football moves fast. Decisions need to be made quickly, and clubs that are too slow or too cautious end up watching the players they wanted go somewhere else. What fans are saying. The reaction from the Chelsea community to these reports has been interesting. A lot of fans are excited about the prospect of signing players of this quality, especially if they can be brought in at reduced prices. There is a sense that this could be the kind of smart business that takes the club to the next level. At the same time, some supporters have been here before. They have seen Chelsea linked with big names, seen the stories in the press, and then watched nothing happen when transfer windows actually open. The club has had its fair share of transfer sagas that did not end the way fans hoped. So there is excitement, but also a healthy dose of caution. That is probably the right way to feel. Get excited about the possibility, but wait and see what actually happens before getting too caught up in the dream scenario. What do you think? Would you rather see Chelsea sign Bergvall and focus on building for the future? Or do you want Kudus in the squad immediately for his attacking quality? Or both? Let us know what you think in the comments. The players themselves have a say. One thing that is easy to forget in all of this is that Bergvall and Kudus are real people who will make their own decisions about their futures. They are not just pieces on a chessboard that clubs can move around as they please. Bergvall is 20 years old. At that age, the most important thing for a player is often finding a place where they will actually play regularly and develop their game. If he is at a club that has gone down to the Championship, and if Chelsea are offering him regular football in the Premier League and possibly European competition, that is a very compelling offer. Any player at 20 wants to be playing at the highest level possible. Kudus is a bit of a different story. He is an experienced player who knows exactly what he is worth and what he wants. After dealing with injuries at Spurs, he will be eager to find a situation where he can play regularly and get back to his best. A move to Chelsea could be very attractive if he feels it gives him that chance. But players also have loyalty, personal preferences, and other factors in their decision-making. You cannot always predict what a player will choose to do. What Chelsea can control is making sure they are ready to make an offer and make the player feel wanted. That part is crucial. Players go to clubs where they feel the love and where the project excites them. So what happens next? The next few weeks of the Premier League season are going to be very revealing. Tottenham will play their remaining games fighting to stay in the top flight. Every point they get or drop brings them closer to or further from the fate that would trigger these transfer discussions. Chelsea, meanwhile, will be watching, planning, and getting ready to act fast if the moment comes. Their scouting team will know everything there is to know about both players. Their financial team will have worked out what kind of deal is possible. And their managers and executives will be ready to pick up the phone the moment relegation is confirmed if it happens. For the rest of us, it is a fascinating situation to follow. Football is full of these moments where one thing happening somewhere else sets off a chain of events that changes multiple clubs at the same time. A Tottenham relegation would be one of those moments. A final thought. Let us end with something honest. Nobody knows for certain how this is going to play out. Tottenham might stay up. Chelsea might not sign either player even if Spurs go down. Other clubs might come in with bigger offers. Injuries or personal situations might change everything. But what we do know is that Chelsea are thinking ahead. They are not waiting for things to happen and then reacting. They are looking at the board, seeing the possibilities, and making sure they are in the best position to take advantage of opportunities when they come. That is the mark of a well-run football club. And for Chelsea fans, that should be genuinely exciting, regardless of what happens with Tottenham. Football is unpredictable. That is what makes it beautiful. And right now, there is a very real chance that by the start of next season, Stamford Bridge could have two new faces who used to wear the colors of one of Chelsea's biggest rivals. How good would that feel? Stay tuned, Blues fans. This story is not finished yet.